rock and roll. Oops. What do you say we try that one again, huh?
Yes, without the oops.
Let me explain something to you. Whenever you come in here and interrupt me, you're breaking my concentration. You're distracting me, and it will then take me time to get back to where I was. Understand?
Live from Wilmington, Delaware, it's Behind the Mic, the radio show that talks about whatever. Join us now as we dive into a variety of topics, from entertainment to politics and every aspect of life in between, mixed with a little fun, frolic, and mayhem. Now, without further ado, here is your host of Behind the Mic, Joel Mahalik with Vida.
And Ron and Stan and our guest tonight all night long, Mr. Brock LaRob. Phone number is 443-836-0171. 443-836-0171. Also, Facebook.com/BehindTheMike, M-I-K-E. And here is our good friend Machine Gun Ron to tell you how to participate in tonight's Ask Clown of the Week Awards. Ron?
All right. Well, there's a few ways you can participate. Send your nominee to fullgammatradio@yahoo.com. Subject line, Ask Clown of the Week. You can also post it on the Facebook page, facebook.com/BehindTheMic, or stop over at Reality One Radio, realityoneradiocom. There's a nice little chat box. You can post your link in, say who you are and all that, and we'll try to get it on the air. Sometimes it's difficult because we get a ton. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate it. This is the segment we call What Gives. We still have Brock LaRob on the phone. And it's sort of like, it's funny because this came up earlier, right before we went on the air. And we're explaining to Brock how this segment works, so he knew how to participate if he'd like, because he's our guest tonight. And he said, so it's like whatever chaps your ass. And the funny thing is that's exactly a great description of it, whether it be news or something socially or whatever it is. And the funny thing about that is that's exactly, Tony said, I think someone else used that. And I said, yeah, it was the chicks on Chick Chat here on the networks.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, not so long ago. Yeah. So we could use it because I know where I can get the rights to use it, but we like the What Gives and we hashtag it and everything, and but the definition of What Gives is hashtag chaps my ass. So here it is. I'll start off to give people an example. It has been said, and it is true because I'm the one who says it, you can get lost. You can age and go gray on the internet. Yeah, you go to look at one thing and next thing you know, it's 9 hours later, you're late for work and your lunch is burning on the stove. Especially on things like YouTube. So, this happened earlier today. I was looking at YouTube because it's amazing the things that you can find on YouTube that you can use. Things you need, like how-to videos and whatnot. And I was particularly looking for how do you replace this effing faucet on a tub in a mobile home. And
first you turn the mobile home over.
Right. So I found a couple of videos, and when you're watching a video on YouTube, there's always a list of suggested videos that may probably go hand in hand with this. So I always like when I get near the end of the video, I start looking down in that column to see, okay, let me see another perspective. And there's a video down there about the worst pedestrian accidents. And, we're human, right? We're human. You gotta look, right? So I'm like, okay, screw the faucet. Let me go see this, right? Because this the title. I mean, the way they write, and you just can't say no. And if anyone disagrees with me, you're a goddamn liar, and you can get off the show right now. So I clicked the video, right, and it's pedestrians getting hit by cars. And for the most part, so far, I'm watching the video and going, okay, well, that person got back up and walked away. That's pretty cool. And I realized this has to be fake because eventually, about halfway through this 10-minute video, now you see this car going down the street, the dash cam, and then you see this guy who's already in the street and he's kind of walking towards the car. And just before the car gets there, he dives on the ground in front of the car. Huh. And I'm like, and then there's like similar activity in the next couple of videos. I'm like, if you're gonna make a fake video of people getting hit by cars, for Christ's sakes, don't dive in front of the car on camera. You know what I mean? It's just, all of a sudden, it just looks so fake. So. And this is that bait and switch kind of advertising that not only that we've complained about before on the show, but I'm sorry to say we've used once or twice here on the show as well, and it works. We do a bait and switch. We tell you that like the actual Batman is going to be. We tell you we're going to talk about the Batman movie. This is the first time we did it, right, Tony? Remember this?
Yeah.
We had the owner of a Batman fan page was coming on the air. 4 days before the release of The Dark Knight. This was a nobody, no-name Batman fan site. Not affiliated at all with DC Comics. We got the kid who runs the site. We said, we're going to interview on the air. We announced it that way. So this wasn't truly a bait and switch, but it worked out that way. For some reason, people thought the owner of DC Comics was going to be on the air with us. The audience load couldn't be handled by the current servers we had.
Oh, jeez.
So if you plan things right, you can do. And we did a bait and switch another time, which worked. This wasn't meant to be a bait and switch, but that's how people interpret it on the internet. And that's because a lot of these younger people and some older people too, who spend absolutely too many hours on the internet. That's what they see. Their brain cells are killed and they're not seeing things straight. But so what gives? If you're gonna lure me with a video where I'm expecting to see, sorry to say, like I said, I'm human, where you're expecting from the title, you're expecting to see bloody body parts all over the roadways. And what I have are people casually diving in front of cars that are going like a mile an hour. And everyone gets up and walks away. Your bait and switch sucks. Yeah. And that's what I have. Brock, do you have one, or you just want to enjoy listening right now?
Just the term pedestrian accident.
Right?
They used it incorrectly, as George Carlin, if I recall correctly, described a pedestrian accident as you pick one person up by the ankles, you swing him around and kill the other person with him, and the guy you've got by the ankles dies too. Boom, you're done. There's no murder weapon. You walk away free and clear. That's a pedestrian accident.
Brock, do you have a what gives, or are you enjoying the ride?
What gives with people that on a 2-lane street or 2-lane highway, they're in a left lane and they're driving 20 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Get the hell out of the way. The left lane is for drivers. The right lane is for people who should stay home.
That's a great one too. That's a great one. So true.
And on a daily basis, I'm passing people on the right, and I'm shaking my head saying, I must be screwed up because I got someplace to go. These people have nowhere to go. And it just, I don't know. It boggles my mind here. Stay home. If you're
right.
Or stay in the right lane. This way we know you're going backwards.
And if you pass them and give them the finger, you can't do that because they're liable to follow you to your destination and shoot you.
No, actually, you'll be on the front page of the paper because somebody will have it on a video.
Yeah,
but,
a video.
No,
dash
I never.
cam.
You know what? I've never flipped anybody off in my entire life. I never have. Okay, because yeah, I never have. I've been flipped off, and it wasn't even my fault. I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was my fault. It wasn't even my fault. I got flipped off 3 times, and this wasn't even in New York. Which you figured you get flipped off all the time, you know? And I just shook my head and said, you know what? If it was my fault, I wouldn't mind. But, you know, this guy cuts me off. He gives me the finger.
Wow, and not even in New York. All right. Great addition. Love that one. Love that one.
You know, Joe, I had a cop friend of mine that used to pull people over in the right-hand lane when they're doing the same thing Brock said.
Really?
Pass on the right-hand side because technically you're only supposed to pass on the left. But he said, that guy's going 2 miles a day. I got to get somewhere.
That cop had too much time on his hands. Too much time. Stan, you pled the 5th earlier, so hurry up. We're making our rounds. You're next.
All right. The one thing that really irks me is Monsanto. And their GMO, altered products. It's like, okay, it's a shock that Chipotle this past week said, we're not going to be using the GMO crops anymore because we need to do more studies and more research until we truly understand all of the implications and health hazards with this GMO cultivation and consumption. Right. So it's like Monsanto is crying a river because they're now losing sales to that restaurant chain. But the Chipotle founder, Steve L., says, we're not going to take the chance in hurting the public. Shouldn't that have been, the way to go and the way to think the entire time?
Yeah, right out of the gate. You're right. I mean, as much as I applaud his statement in the press, I absolutely agree that that should be the way it is. But you know what? How long were we all going along eating GMOs until it really became an issue? And now that it's an issue, so I mean, I can appreciate his stance now. And
well, my complaint is, everyone should have been thinking that way all along. It should have been, no, we need more research, we need more testing, we need more, instead of allowing it to go, into restaurants, allowing it for public consumption. I mean, isn't there a lawsuit somewhere in there?
Somewhere, right?
Yeah. I don't know, Monsanto for selling it to restaurants and to, grocery stores and such without any research at all. Where's the FDA? I mean, come on now.
They have put farmers out of business.
Yeah.
They have had their men in black, and this is not an exaggeration, it's the truth. They have had their men in black going out and telling farmers who do not use the Monsanto seeds that they can't reap their own seeds and replant because the pollen from the farmers around him who are using Monsanto seeds have gotten into his ground, and therefore his ground and seeds are now theirs.
Oh, wow.
So they cannot watch some of the documentaries on Netflix. It'll blow your mind.
Right.
This little itty bitty farmer was just trying to scrape on by. They had to clean their seeds at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. The guy would bring his little truck in that cleans the seeds for them so they can replant, so that Monsanto's men in black wouldn't find out about it. Oh, they were coming and stealing these people's seeds.
Yeah.
So they put them out of business.
No, I got news for you. Well, I say we, I say we, my wife did all the work, but we actually took apart a patio that we kind of built with stepping stones and whatnot, like 8 years ago. And she converted that whole area, which is probably, I'd say, 5 by 5, 6 by 6 area, into a garden. We've got 10 or 12 tomato plants out there. We got 3 different types of bell peppers. We got cucumbers. She's planted all kinds of stuff. So getting into a little bit of homesteading ourselves as far as produce goes.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. You know why organic is so expensive? Because with all the government, here we go, with all the government red tape, it takes approximately, I think it's 5 years for you to do certain things and make absolutely certain there has been no runoff. There's been nothing that's tainted that ground whatsoever in 5 years. Then you can call it organic.
Wow. Well,
yes.
I'm hoping that our garden is successful because that'll take me about 5 seconds to tell them all to bite me.
Exactly. And you can grow, we grow bigger tomatoes in our own home gardens than you can find in the store. Do you see these poor excuses? And organic, no less. They're the size of little cherry tomatoes. And they're selling them at $1.89 a pound. It's incredible.
Yep.
Also, as far as tomatoes go, I always love Jersey tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
But my whole gripe, seriously, is, that where is the FDA? Where is the research? Before Monsanto was able to sell their products?
Well,
they were on vacations that Monsanto sent them on with all the money that they...
Yeah, that could be one logical excuse. But Stan, listen to what you're saying and compare it to the Affordable Health Care Act. Okay? With that, they had to pass it before they understood it. And as far as the FDA goes, they approved all this stuff without really understanding it. And I've had this conversation, I'm not sure if you were on the show, off the show, some time ago about how the government operates like that. Like they do no research. And when looking at the FDA, you might as well close that whole wing of the government down. They approve stuff for human consumption, and then 10, 12 years later, they're pulling it off, going, don't eat that crap.
Right.
And it works the same way. Push it through, take the payoffs, push it through, and we'll worry about it later.
Right. And that's exactly what they do. Look, you've got the guy who was the head of the Natural Products Association. He then became the head of the FDA, that section of the FDA. Oh, we're going to lock this down. And he made some statements that were very unkind to the natural supplements industry. Well, guess where he is now? Left the FDA, went back to the Natural Products Association. Now he's trying to fight against his own words from when he was with the FDA.
Right.
And everyone is trying to figure out who gave the Attorney General in New York the hard-on for natural supplements. He really is going after them tooth and nail, basically to shut them down. And a lot of district attorneys, attorneys general in various states are climbing on the bandwagon, and it's all political.
Right.
And I want to know, how did this guy get onto it? What is his purpose in this, his real purpose? Who gave him money? I want to know, where did this all suddenly come from? You have nothing else to spend your time on but going after natural supplements.
Well, I think maybe that would be a great thing that you can research it, write it up, and be the first ever behind the mic reporter on the scene. Just a thought.
You could do that.
Stan,
Are you gonna pay? You gonna pay for my flights and hotels? 4 seasons,
no.
buddy. 4 seasons.
Stan, great piece to bring up. No wonder you pled the 5th for this. Thank you very much. Great piece. Great piece. We could talk about this for 2 hours, but
yeah.
Great piece to sneak in on What Gives. Ron, you have anything?
Well, nothing too special. It's been in the news on and off for how long now, but the whole ISIS thing. Now we've come to the point where former military and current military are taking it on themselves to go combat them without the government and consult the Kurds and everything else without the government. It just frustrates me no end that how this government is treating this bunch of punks. These, it boggles my mind. So bravo.
Well, remember, they're just the
people.
JV team.
They can do
they're just the JV team.
Yeah.
I mean, what's everyone getting worked up about? It's the JV team.
Yeah, but that's the number one thing on my mind right now.
Well, no, and that's a great thing. I was going to say something earlier about this whole ISIS thing, but I was like, you know what? It's like all you hear, and I think I said like 2 weeks ago. I think I said it plenty and said enough. When they're issuing threats to behead the president of the United States, and whether that's a credible threat or not, at what point do you go, these bastards aren't fooling around? They're not the JV team. Right. How many heads of Christian men and children do you have to see sitting on their bodies decapitated from their spines, and think that them telling you that they will behead you, the leader of the free world, before you take this seriously? And it doesn't mean they're going to come riding down Pennsylvania Avenue in all their white trucks from Toyota that they got with their U.S. government money. It could be lone wolf squads right here in the United States. But don't take them seriously. Really, don't. Brock?
Which is an interesting point. We seem to be getting more homegrown terrorists. Well, I think that what ought to be done is, and I think it wasn't done intentionally, but Pam Geller a couple of weeks ago had a draw-off of drawing Muhammad.
Right.
Okay? And so we had the incident there. This is what I say. There ought to be more of that, because when we have more of that, we're going to be drawing them all out. So what we do is we have let's say in Chicago or New York, you have this big gala, okay, and it is similar to that. You're going to win $1 million prize if you draw the best picture of Muhammad, okay? So you're going to draw out all of these guys. So what you do is, of course, it's bogus. You just have your SWAT team ready for these guys. Draw them out.
Yeah.
Oh, heavens, that's entrapment.
Never heard of the word.
Well,
oh, heavens.
Well, let's kill these guys first, and then we'll worry about the entrapment.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Like I always said, always better to stand before 12 than be carried by 6.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, and you're right. What ISIS is doing over here, for the most part, is for whatever reason. I mean, and I think we understand it. We've talked about it. We've had people on the show to talk about it. They're using social media and their actions over there and making these ads, and they're attracting people who think they have nothing else to live for, loners, mentally unstable people, and they're attracting them to build these lone wolf squads here in the U.S. And like you said, homegrown terrorism. Now, if you want, of course, that presents the problem here. Yes, it does. But if we don't put an Uncle Sam's boot in somebody's ass over there in the Middle East, we're not going to take care of this problem until we deal with it head on. And I've said it before, and I'll still say it, even though they're recruiting like crazy over there. I don't care what their numbers are. You put a couple of brigades of Army Rangers, some SEAL teams down there, I'm telling you, that's all you need. That's all you need. They're nothing but a bunch of wusses in the sand. They're riding around terrorizing and killing what? People who are not armed. Of course.
But the thing is, they're killing them with weapons that the Iraqis, we sent them, and they're just dropping them and running.
Yep.
I mean, they've got tanks, everything we have sent over. That's number one. Number two, the main Iraqi government isn't sending any of the weapons we send over there to the Kurdish, to the Peshmerga. They're not giving them to the Sunnis. They're giving them all to the Shiites, who are all backed by Iran anyway. You've got real problems going on over there between those different factions, and they just can't seem to get it together. I mean, if it goes down, if the Iraqi government continues on their path, the Sunnis are going to have a choice, and their choice is, I side with the devil over here, the Shiites, or I'm going to side with the ISIS. They're probably going to go with the ISIS people, Daesh.
Right.
I don't care what they say. Come cut my tongue out, Daesh.
So, great topic. Ron, thank you very much for unloading that Shiite upon us.
You know what I like about this most of all? I'm with very smart people here, and I like that because me not being very smart, I'm learning a lot. I like this.
Yeah, don't be calling us names, Brock. I invited you here.
Everybody's making really good points. I'm learning a lot here. I like being with smart people.
Who are you calling smart? Wait a minute.
Right. Just real quick, I don't know why this happens every week to Vita. Vita, do you have something? Because you can either squeeze it into 45 seconds or we'll give you the first couple minutes when we come back, which we end up having to do. I don't know why this happens. Great topics. Do you have something?
Yeah, I had something, but it was kind of simple. I'm tired of all these people going around making these viral challenges about desecrating the American flag. Now you can go into your break and we can handle it afterward. If anybody else has a comment on
it. That's just a great way to leave that, because that's great as we I can't stand these people.
Honestly, do they not understand that, number one, it's against the law. It's a federal offense to desecrate the flag. That's number one. But number two, because you have your freedom of expression, and it's only being used as a symbol of their expression, of their distaste for the country. Did you see what I posted on Facebook? The ex-Marine who did that? And it was absolutely right. I've never been an America love it or leave it type of person. I always looked askance at somebody who said that. And what the heck are you talking about? That's like saying, well, you can't have any discussion. Either you love America or get out. That's not what we're all about. However, in this climate today, when you allow people to desecrate the flag like that, I agree with the guy. You know what? Pack your stuff and get the hell out, because there are plenty of people.
And get out, right?
That's right, and get out, because there are plenty of people who are scrambling to get here to have a better life, and you're taking up space that they might otherwise be able to come here. So if you don't like it that much, get out.
Excellent point. Took us right to the break. When we come back, it's Ask Clown of the Week Awards, and boy, topics are full. Don't go anywhere. It's the Behind the Mike Show right here on the Q, the QYB Radio Network. Be right back. Gotta fix my mic.
You're listening to the Behind the